with the DNC starting today, we got some new intel on who people are excited to hear from and who people are not so excited to hear from.
So who are they?
Yeah. Let's put this new poll up. Okay, so AOC, who they gave a generous 60 seconds to in a pre-recorded message, people actually want to hear from her. 2/3 would love to hear from AOC. Bill Clinton, maybe, sort of, it's kind of split. John Kasich, on the other hand,
2%.
who's been highly touted, only 38%. It's like a 2/3 majority are like, we're good on the Kasich. Thanks very much.
Okay, so let's digest this. 2/3 of the people who are going to watch this convention want to hear AOC. More so than former President Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And then it is exactly swapped with John Kasich. Now, in descending order is actually speaking, right? So it's like Bill Clinton will probably get the most amount of time.
Yeah.
Then John Kasich is going to get more time. And then the person who people want to hear from the most at this convention is going to get 60 seconds in a pre-recorded message.
Cool.
This is insane. And especially when you pair it with this rising stars thing, which I found over the weekend, about these 17 rising stars that the Democrats want to highlight, including Stacey Abrams, Connor Lamb, right? I think it's like the AG from Florida or somebody like that. I mean, and the way the Democrats are justifying this is being like, well, this is how Barack Obama got to speak at the DNC. I think Barack Obama's a little bit different.
It's the Florida Agriculture Secretary, Nikki Fried.
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
the only Democrat to win a statewide race in Florida in 2018.
Pathetic.
By the way, which is not really a great sign. Look, I don't know who all these people are. Right. Maybe some of them are fantastic. But when you're talking about Stacey Abrams, when you're talking about Connor Lamb, these are like very middle of the road, standard issue, corporate Democrats. They'll fit very comfortably on a stage with John Kasich and Mike Bloomberg and all the rest of these people. I wish they had polled, by the way. I dug into the poll. I wish they had polled on how excited people were about Bloomy jumping up on the stage, and but they didn't get to that. I'm sure that the enthusiasm levels are through the roof. But look, this is not ultimately first and foremost about beating Donald Trump. This is first and foremost about securing the neoliberal dominance within the Democratic Party and Barack Obama's legacy. And so if you fit into that mold, you will be featured. If you bent the knee in all of the appropriate ways and jump through all the hoops and have the right ideology, like a Pete Buttigieg, you will get highlighted. Right. If you're an Andrew Yang, who did bend the knee, by the way, early.
Still had to beg to speak.
Yeah, but as he said, maybe
he's not a rising star. Andrew Yang's not a rising star in the Democratic Party.
Well, that's an excellent point. Yeah. That is an excellent point. So they're basically shamed into maybe giving him some amount. Same with AOC. They really didn't want to highlight her. There was a question whether she would get anything at all. And so they throw the scrap of 60 seconds pre-recorded. If I were her, I don't know that I would do it ultimately.
Yeah, I mean this Tulsi Gabbard
ridiculous.
Didn't get invited, right? She endorsed Biden.
I know.
She kept her word, endorsed Biden. Biden even accepted at that time. Not one word at the convention. I think it's pretty stunning. I mean, you really see this. And people like Cory Booker get to speak, Stacey Abrams, AOC gets 60 seconds, and so much more. It's just the way that they are so all in on this upper middle class, white liberal realignment is crazy. And it's all bearing out in the polling data, like we talked about earlier in the show. It's stunning. I mean, you can win. This is the one lesson is you can actually win pretty big by just going all in on upper middle class white liberals. For the rest
I'm not sure. I mean, I think they're taking a big risk by writing off the growing, most energy, the part of the base that you really need to energize to get to the polls. They've basically written them off. I mean, they did the task forces. They didn't even really tout those highly. There wasn't any big movement there. Right. This is all a slap in the face. But I think number one, there's a lot of arrogance. They won the primary without him. They don't need him. Right. They really believe they're just on Twitter. This isn't a real thing, even though obviously Bernie Sanders against the guy who was vice president for 8 years came very close to ultimately winning, but they dismiss all of that. But then also they would rather take that risk of losing than actually keep these people in the tent because they're a risk, because they're not going to just go lockstep with them. They're not just going to vote for the candidates they tell them to. And so they would actually rather excise them from the party, excise them from the base, so that they can have this very malleable, like sheep-like group that they can tell, like, this is our person and this is where we need to go, and who are comfortable with the direction of the party.
That's actually the fascinating part to me, which is that these younger voters, younger Latino, younger Black voters, and all these others were very enthusiastic during the Sanders campaign. So they have high levels of enthusiasm, but that's explicitly being rejected by the Democratic Party in favor of these suburban voters who are very, they went Obama, they went Trump, now they'll maybe go Biden, but they're not like wedded whatsoever. They're not enthusiastic whatsoever for Joe. Two-thirds of all Biden supporters are the ones who are voting against him. So again, they're just trying to capture this group, which has no loyalty to them whatsoever, and they're realigning their whole party, trying to become the party of them, like desperate in order to maintain their loyalty, leaving behind, tens of millions of younger voters and other people who are disaffected by the process. And I actually do think they could win big. I really do. But you're right, it's a risk, which is that these are the same voters because they're malleable, not enthusiastic, and so much more, and really much just, whichever way kind of the wind is going to blow based on election day, based upon their economic circumstances or culture or whatever, is that is why it's risky, because Trump still could win those people back, whereas it doesn't seem like he will be winning many of the other group. And I think that is, it's such an in-your-face choice by their speaking lineup that I think is pretty remarkable.
It's perfectly emblematic. I'm kind of glad, honestly, that this is the direction that they've gone in, having Bloomberg and Kasich and these really limited, like the least we can possibly get away with for Bernie, for AOCs, for that wing of the party, because it just makes it so clear. Like, we're not pretending. It's very blatant. It's all on the table. Like, this is the party that we want. This is the party we're crafting. This is who we're trying to appeal to. You all should come along. You should fall in line, because to do anything else is like evil and awful, and you're horrible people, and we will certainly blame you if we lose. But the fault really lies with them, because they're taking a huge risk by saying screw you to this entire part of the base. And so, look, yes, it could work out for them, but the Hillary Clinton people thought it was going to work out for them too, and it didn't. And I see so many echoes here of there's no affirmative message. It's just Trump is bad. It's just you have to vote for us. Lesser of two evils. It's no attempt to actually, these are the same people who talk all about unity in the party and we've got to unify and we've got to bring it together. But they're the first to throw that out the window in order to, to crush this part of the Democratic Party, or crush this part of the left, really, because I wouldn't say that a lot of these people are going to continue to affiliate with the Democratic Party moving forward. And you do see it in the numbers. You see it among young people. You see it among working class Black and Latino voters. And so anyway, I think it's pretty manifest on the stage of the DNC what direction they're taking the party and who they want in the coalition, who they really don't care.
Well, very excited to hear Bernie's speech tonight, and we'll see what happens.
All right, more Rising for you after this.